running the 100 meters in the Olympics. And that's always the event that I want to watch in the Olympics, right? That's the for me the flagship event. And it's like the guy that comes first versus the guy that comes eighth. All the marbles goes to the guy that wins the gold, right? I mean, the guy second he gets the silver, third gets a bronze. Number four, the fourth fastest man in the world, doesn't get anything, right? Let alone the guy at number eight. It's crazy. And obviously, in the actual time difference between those is very, very small, but it does make a difference, right? But who would you most learn from, right? The guy that is came in eighth can learn a bunch from the guy that came in first, and I would suggest the guy that came in first can learn a bunch from the guy that came in eighth, right? Because it's the people that are just adjacent to you, right? Just behind you, just in front of you, or just by the side of you, where you can learn the most from because you're zeroed into the same piece, but you're at a slightly different position as well. Not to say that from an industry to industry, just like we are talking about, there's not stuff that you can learn. But when you come back down to, like you said, the tactical and the specifics of it, you want the people that are there or thereabouts in terms of the way that what they're doing.
Now, what are your thoughts on a peer-led mastermind compared to a facilitator-led mastermind? You may be a little biased because I picture you helping lead and
Yeah.
facilitate masterminds, but um, I guess what have you seen work and why does it work?
And that, that's my focus to help 100,000 because I know I can't do that all myself. That's why when I give away a lot of this stuff. But it certainly can work, right? It certainly can work. People often ask me, and as I'm sure they do ask you, right, what's the best tool? What's the best system to use, right? And the baseline answer to that is, well, the one that you'll actually use, right? And to get the result. So if you have a peer-led mastermind, that's awesome. That's awesome. The challenge with that from the start point is that if you're the leader of that mastermind, you've got to lead it as well as facilitate it, as well as participate in it, as well as doing admin, logistics, and all those type of things. And so you can make it work, right? You have the primary leader and you make sure that they're really clear on the roles and who does what. And perhaps you perform the leadership role and then you move out with someone else in the group for after a couple of months or a couple of rotations and stuff as well. So I've definitely seen it work for sure. It can do. But it requires much more on the front end of the leader to make sure it keeps going as well, which takes away from the impact they're going to get. Like it's never going to be quite as good as it could be if they're only there to show up, right? It's like me and my wife are watching a show on Netflix right now. We like at the evening we watch after the kids go to bed. We've got like a half an hour downtime, watch a bit of Netflix, and it's a medical show, right? And I'm just thinking about one of the scenes when in the operating room, like the surgeon is doing surgeon things, right? And all of the support people around them, they're doing their roles, right? And like it's not a case of one role is more important than the other role. It's like they're all doing different roles, and they're doing different roles because it's the most efficient way of getting the result they want to get to. So the surgeons there are asking for a scalpel. They're not picking it off the table and doing it themselves. They're asking for it and they get put it into their hands, right? Because it's the nurse's job to get the exact tool that they ask and make sure it doesn't get wrong to put it in the surgeon's hands so he can be 100% focused on doing what he's doing. It's the same situation. If you're going to get the best results from being in a mastermind, you want to make sure that you've got someone that's separate getting to the outcome. Now, that said, absolutely, if you're in a peer-led mastermind and it works, then great. Like, and then it's a case of just upgrading it. Is it really what you want it to be? Are you getting the results that you want? Is everyone really committed? Is the standard high and you're having a great time and are really impacting your business through doing it?
So I put together a mastermind group that was just sort of a pro bono doing these folks a solid where
Mhm.
there's a lot of advisor mastermind groups, there's a lot of CEO mastermind groups, but
Yeah.
where I noticed the gap is in some of these larger firms, they have a variety of titles, but I can summarize them in one title, which is a chief growth officer, where essentially they're in charge of the advisors and helping them grow. And I noticed that that was a area in the marketplace that was underserved. So just to test it out, I had a bunch of those firms as clients that had those roles, and I said, "Hey, I want to help put together a mastermind. I'll lead the first one, and then you guys just take it from there because I wanted them to uh, join because they wanted to. I didn't want them to feel as
Hmm.
if I was trying to make money off them because it's not part of our core business model. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So I just wanted to do them a solid. And the feedback that I've gotten from them, because they've been doing it for 3, maybe 4 months since the initial
Mm.
phone call, what I suggested that they did, since it was peer led, and this will all lead to a question. Since it was peer led, is hey, Pat is in charge of the first meeting, Megan's in charge of the second meeting, Katie's in charge of the next meeting, Keith
Hmm.
is in charge of the next meeting. So they're all taking some of the leadership, administrative, and facilitation responsibilities, so it doesn't just fall on one person,
Hmm.
because I didn't think that was fair to fall on one person when they
Right.
weren't getting paid. If I was getting paid for it, I would be that guy, but that wasn't the intention of setting up this group. And the feedback that I received is that it's been valuable.
That's
However,
fair. Yeah.
um, they run out of time. They go down rabbit holes
Yeah.
because no
Yeah.
one is helping facilitate and time things out or make people stick to an agenda. So my question is, when someone's thinking about a mastermind, what do you do as it relates to first cadence? Is it once a month, once a quarter, twice a month? What does that look like? Is it all virtual? Do you ever recommend that they do in person? Like, what does that the cadence look like? And then also, what should the structure be,
Mm.
both in terms of time spent? Is it an hour, 2 hours, half a day, full day, 30 minutes? What's the agenda look like? How do you keep people on track with the agenda? So kind of help. I said I'd start more general and then get tactical. So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
get tactical.
Yeah. So my goal around this is to create framework and then make it available depending on what the group might need, right? So I think about if I zoom all the way out and think, okay, what's the three biggest principles? I just call them the three keys to mastermind success. It's commitment, collaboration, and consistency. And like that just by itself is, if you said I want like a little bit of guidance, I got it, right? I want to run it, I want to do the thing. Like those are the top three. And then you can go into detail to understand what that really means, right? Like if you're committed, you're all in, like you got it, like and we're open and we're collaborative and we're willing to be honest and open, and then we're all in on consistently showing up, right? And making sure that we're getting the results over time and getting the compound interest from that. And then from that, and to answer your question, there's lots of ways to do it. So I wanted to probably get the framework to think about so you got the framework to think about and then make it individual for that particular mastermind. And obviously we've got recommendations as well, right? So the framework, I just call it the focus model, right? So the first thing is to find the right members, and then there's steps in that to validate and set of questions to say, how do I know I've got the right members? And then once I've got the right members, and it's a kind of dynamic process as well, although you can follow it, of course, sequentially, as it were, is to define what the purpose is and the goals, right? So why are we here overall? What does that look like? What are we trying to achieve? And then specifically what the goals for that period of time, for that year, for instance. And then once we've got like, find the right members, so the F and the O is outline the purpose and goals, and then the C is to create the structure. And then we go on to utilize tools and accountability, and then sustainably and how do we grow. But like part of that is the structure piece. Yeah, and our recommendation is depending on the size of the group. Like we've got a medium-sized group, say 4 to 7, 8 advisors. An hour every 2 weeks is a good cadence to think about. And I do like a kick-off version of it as well to define those things out. That's a bit longer. I definitely have had groups where they would prefer to meet 2 hours once a month, and then make a commitment every quarter to meet in person as well. I'm about one of my clients uh, connected me with someone that runs an insurance company that also runs a mastermind for his advisors. It's like this guy doesn't know how to run masterminds. Like he's got a great commitment to it, and like he's got you know capability, but he's never done it before, right? So like he's like, can you help him do this? So
Hmm.
I spent the last couple of weeks pulling this together, and we're about to go up to New York to do this thing next week or so, 2 weeks after, I should say. And so their version of it's a bit different, but the principles remain the same, right? So I wanted to make sure to pull that together. And as you go through that process, it will become clear as to what you need for your particular group, depending on how far they are along in their business journey, how many people it is as well. But we definitely have some specific recommendations because that's the stuff that people get uh, bogged down in, right? Like what is the detail of it? But like, so having that process to follow, I think is really important. But ultimately find the right set of people and really be clear for you, what is it that you want.